We all witnessed the Naira redesign of 2022, where Emefiele and Buhari, went into one of the most stringent policies we have ever seen. The aim, I think it was a political vendetta. The way I see it, it was a political vendetta more than a policy aimed at helping Nigeria as a nation. Their aim was to, help inflation control, crime reduction through, proliferation of money, and then digital push. But unfortunately, they caused cash flow, shortage, and there's a poor execution that killed the whole thing. Today, in the Diary of a Broken Man, where we discuss political, economic, and social issues, we look at that Naira Redesign Policy under Godwin Emefiele in 2022. Welcome. The Naira Redesign Policy initiated by Emefiele, the then governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, in October 2022, aimed to redesign the 200 Naira, the 500 Naira, and the 1,000 Naira notes with objectives including curbing inflation, reducing cash-based illicit activities like vote buying and kidnapping for ransom, and promoting digital alternatives such as the eNaira. These were the aims, that propelled that particular initiative of Naira redesign. The policy set tight deadlines, initially January 31st, 2023, later extended to February 10 for the old notes to cease being legal tender, triggering a severe currency crisis. Nigerians faced acute cash shortage, long bank queues, and economic disruptions exacerbated by inadequate supply and distribution of the new notes. It was terrible. It was terrible. I remember, I think I was in the school then, and when that happened, it was one of the hardest times of my life. I mean, I had money in my account, but I could not, even to withdraw money was a problem. You go to the bank and the bank rations your own money. I mean, they tell you how much you take. They will give you 2,000. They will give you 5,000. And you will possibly be begging them. Let's not talk about POS operatives, where you buy 5,000 with 2,000, 3,000. We saw the hardest and the most gruesome, mismanagement of power. That's where the image of the real Nigeria came out, where you see how the average Nigerian thinks. People used others for just I wonder where all those people who were selling and buying the naira then, who were the middlemen of between the bankers, the wicked bankers who would get money from the central bank and they decide to hoard it and sell back to people at higher exorbitant prices, especially the POS agents. I wonder how rich they became. I wonder how many of them became billionaires. Because the real face of wickedness was unleashed in 2022 and then 2023 going forward. People were out to suffer the rest of us. They called it Naira Redesign. We'll go forward. So, for the old notes to cease being legal tender, triggering a severe crisis, okay, Nigerians faced acute shortage of funds, long bank queues, and economic disruption, exacerbated by inequality in the sharing of the money. This led to widespread hardship, business losses, and public unrest. The Supreme Court intervened on March 3rd, 2023, ruling the policy implementation unconstitutional due to insufficient consultation with key stakeholders as required by the 1999 Constitution as amended. It extended the validity of the old notes until December 31, 2023, overturning the CBN deadline and exposing tension between monetary policy execution and the judicial oversight. Emefiele's suspension in June 2023 and the subsequent charges of financial misappropriation further highlighted governance issues tied to the policy. So, what were the lessons we learned for the monetary policy? Number one, autonomy. Execution matters more than intention. No matter how good your intention is, how you propel that your intention into action matters also even more. The resign's goal was sound, controlling money supply and enhancing security, but there was a total poor planning, inadequate new note circulation, and weak digital infrastructure which undermined the success of the whole thing. Nigeria didn't have the back-end network to control, constant e-banking. So many banks crashed during that period. People's transactions were hanging here and there. I remember going to Union Bank a number of times within that interim, just to I would do transfer to somebody, 100,000 naira. The money will hang. The person doesn't receive. The alert has gone. And when somebody doesn't receive, how will you tell the person? He checks his bank. There is no money in his account. And you are telling him he sent him 100,000 for business. So the next thing is to go to bank and start filling paperwork. And most times it doesn't come easy. I remember going to Union Bank, Main Market Onitsha, for more than 4 or 5 times for a particular transaction. After back and forth, the money was sent back to me. So I had to move it to Fidelity Bank and from Fidelity Bank to the next person. Just the same process. I remember going to ATMs just to withdraw 2,000 naira. You will stand in queue for 5 hours. There was one occasion I went to Main Market Onitsha to buy, I think it was wash. I already booked the man. So we agreed. I think it was Hublot Wash. We had already agreed. I think it was 65,000 or so. So I went with the hope that if I get to the bank, I will withdraw. And then I would read 50,000 from the POS. 15,000 naira. That was what was remaining. I ended up spending the whole day, thanks to the man who came to the bank to meet me. Thanks. And then I had 50,000 I gave him. He said, whenever you bring the rest, everybody was tired of the whole thing. It was so tiring in that period. Okay. So the redesign came with poor planning. Poor planning. So autonomy must be paired with competence and transparency to maintain public trust. You can't just do things anyhow. There must be competence and transparency too. Transparency. Next one is stakeholder engagement is critical. Okay? The Supreme Court's reversal underscored that monetary policy cannot operate in isolation, ignoring state governments, the Federal Executive Council, and the public risk legal and the social backlash, suggesting autonomy should not bypass constitutional checks. Judicial limits on central bank power, that's another thing. The ruling affirmed that while the CBN has independence on its act, it is not above the law. This challenges the notion of absolute monetary autonomy, emphasizing accountability to democratic principles. Timing and the context sensitivity. Launching the policy near 2023 election fueled perception of political motives and vendetta, which amplified resistance. Effective autonomy requires strategic timing to avoid destabilizing economic and political climates. Digital readiness is non-negotiable. The failure to scale the eNaira or bolster digital payment system revealed that autonomy hinges on robust alternatives to cash, especially in a cash-reliant economy like Nigerians. What are the key takeaways? from that Naira redesign? What did we learn? What did we get as Nigerians? The central lesson from the Naira redesign policy is that monetary policy autonomy is only effective when balanced with effective, meticulous execution, inclusive consultation, and the public trust. The crisis and the Supreme Court reversal demonstrated that independence does not equate to unchecked authority. Rather, it demands alignment with practical realities and the legal frameworks. For Nigeria, this underscores the need for CBN to prioritize operational capacity and stakeholder collaboration over unilateral action, ensuring that bold reforms strengthen rather than strain the already strained economy and the Nigerian society in general. Now, the way we do things in Nigeria is almost like every arm of the government is doing its own thing unchecked, because the three arms of government was meant to be a kind of checks and balance on each other, the executive, the judiciary, but at some point it was as if people rose up to do things based on their own accord, irrespective of what the constitution says. Just like we are seeing in the case of the president rising up to declare a state of emergency, where the conditions for state of emergency was not met, and then suspending a democratically elected governor, the vice governor, and the legislative council of the state. Something uncalled for, an aberration of the constitution of the nation. That was exactly what Emefiele and the Buhari did within that period. We were just doing things, with total overreach. And thanks to the judiciary who came to the help of Nigerians, I saw it as a political vendetta, irrespective of who it favored or who it did not favor. It was a political vendetta. So let me know in the comment section what you think about the 2022 Naira redesign and how you think we should have done it. The truth is, the old notes were not the best. The new notes were just a copy of the old notes. I thought they would come up with something, a more, something that looks handy, a money that can enter the wallet, not the big notes we have now. That was when they said Naira redesign, that's the idea I had. And then I thought they would, do it like the normal Naira redesign, give time frame for the change, and then begin to. It's so many countries now. The country I live in now, they did their currency redesign. They do it almost every decade. But you still see the very old notes of 1990 still in operation, because they keep doing it until it gets to the bank, and then they move it out of the system, bring out the new currencies. That's how they do it. I thought that's what they planned, but they planned to suffer Nigerians. And Nigerians really suffered. And like Nigerians, we moved on. No, people don't even remember that particular aspect of the suffering they went through, and how a single decision overturned the country. People suffered. Some could not even buy food. Some were almost ran mad at that period, just because of a single policy change. So let me know in the comment section how you think we could have done it better, and what you think we can do going forward, to avoid unchecked use of, the power and the authority, and the independence. And then remember to subscribe, to like, to share, and to comment. And I will see you on the next one. Cheers.